Okay, good morning, everyone. It's almost noon. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm bringing you in to show you some of the things that I'm doing with the remaining Thanksgiving pantry haul that I got. I told you that I got plenty of food. And so one of the things that I got was cranberries, and they were still in my refrigerator. And so I needed to get them used up in some way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some cranberry jelly for my refrigerator. If it makes enough, then I'll can it up. If not, I'll just put it in my refrigerator and I'll use it on, a variety of different things. I can even use it on those breakfast sandwiches that I have. And so I like to, do jam and toast. And so this is a great way to use up that fresh cranberries that I got from the food pantry. And so I'm going to flip you around and we're going to get busy on this and show you how quick and easy it is to make cranberry jam. Right, I'm bringing you in to show you what I have. And I have one bag of those cranberries there. I looked them through and I'm going to show you out of the cranberries. The reason that they had them at the food bank is because they were a little squishy, and this is the only waste that came out of that whole bag of cranberries, okay? Which is probably about 10 or 15 of the little cranberries. The rest of them were good. And so we're gonna get in here. I'm gonna toss those in the trash and get them out of the way. And it's real simple. I put the cranberries in a pan like this. 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water. Okay. And then put the burner on underneath it. Give this a stir. Let me get me a spoon. We're going to stir this around, get that sugar in there, and we're going to bring this up to a boil, and we're going to boil it between 10 and 20 minutes. And I say between because it all depends on 2 things. First of all, you want to boil it until the cranberries burst, because that's what's going to release the that's what's going to release the flavor out of the cranberries. And also inside the cranberries, it has its own, like, you know how when you make jelly that you use like a Sure-Gel or something like that? Well, cranberries have their own inside of the cranberry. So once it bursts, then it's going to release that, it's going to release and it'll gel on its own. So I don't have to use like a Sure-Gel. Now, I don't know how much this is going to make. I have 3 jelly jars over here on the side ready to go. And I have this pan right here ready to go if I want to can it up. It's just a simple water bath canning for 10 minutes. So I could do that if I wanted to, but we're gonna see how much it makes. All right, if it makes a couple of jars, then I might go ahead and can it, and that way I'll have 2 of them on the shelf. If it makes just 1, then I might just go ahead and put it in my refrigerator and use it. We'll see. All right, but I'm gonna get the sugar to dissolve, which is what I'm doing now, and then I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and I'm gonna let it boil and simmer for 10 to 20 minutes, okay? And then I'm gonna show you what the next step is. All right, everybody, I'm bringing you in to show you that. I'm gonna bring you over here. You can see that it's coming right up on 10 minutes. And that has already become a jam. So I'm going to turn this off. And there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can put it in the jar just like this and it'll be fine. Or, let me set you down here. Hold on. I told you guys I'm real. I don't have a lot in the way of cameras and stuff like that, but I'm getting it done, okay? Now you can leave it like that. You can take a potato masher and mash it up, which is what I'm gonna do. Or you could take a sieve like this and run it through a sieve like this and get all of the, like the skin off of the cranberries out of it and make it more of a jelly. Yeah, but I don't mind the skins on it. And so what I'm gonna do is just gonna break it up just a little bit with the potato masher. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get it in the jars. And I don't think it's gonna be enough to can, not with just one of the bags. If I was gonna can, you know, like make my own cranberry sauce, okay? Because that's basically what this is. It's the same exact recipe for cranberry jam and cranberry sauce. So if I was to can this, I would probably use, I don't know, 5 or 10 of those bags, or get a giant bag if I was to can it. But what I'm going to do with it now is, because it made, you know, just enough for maybe 1 jar once it was cooked down. I am going to, you have to be careful with this because it is very hot and it has sugar in it, so it is sticky too. Alright, so there we go. I'm going to rinse this off because I don't want that stuff sticking to it. You guys know I clean as I go. And I don't know what I was thinking when I pulled out a spoon to stir that with earlier. I pulled out a slotted spoon. I didn't need a slotted spoon. I needed a regular spoon. So let me get these into the dishwasher. I'm going to try and keep the dishwasher empty so I can clean as I go. And I'm just going to use this serving spoon that I washed yesterday, and we're going to get this into jars. We're going to see how many jars that it makes. Okay, that's enough in there. That's 1 jar. Oh, let's see. It made two jars, 2 jelly jars. Okay. So, not bad. Not bad. All right. People is good. I got a piece on me, a wallet just now, and I had to wipe it off. It's good. All right. It made exactly 2 jelly jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these cool, and I'm going to put them, it's not enough to can. All right. But you can see them over there. Yeah. I'm going to let these things cool, and then I'm going to put a lid on them and put them in the refrigerator, and these are going to be the jelly that I use for the next several weeks for my toast and whatever else I want to put it on. And so that's one way to use up the provisions from the food bank into something that is useful and usable. You guys be blessed, because I know I am. I'm back, and I am preparing creamy butternut squash soup, because I got a couple of butternut squash from the food bank that needs to get used up. And so this is how I prepare my butternut squash. I have one onion already ready to be diced up and put into the pan. And then I use a spoon, and I get in here and scrape out as much of the seeds and those fibers that the seeds stick to as I can with the spoon, just like this. And you can see that I peeled them, and depending on the butternut squash itself and how thick the skin is, this one I was lucky with, and the skin was not too bad. I used a regular peeler and peeled it off. Now there are many ways that you can prepare a butternut squash. You could roast it, and then the peeling comes off real easy. You could do it that way. And I have done it that way before. But today I chose not to fire up my oven because it is warm here in South Texas. And so I don't want to fire up my oven and heat up my house. And so I'm choosing to do it this way. And you can see that I am getting in here and getting as much of that out as I can. And see how nice and clean it is in there now? That's the way I want it. And then you have this top part of it that you just kind of, this is how I do it. Okay, half of it, and then I flip it around and do the other half. And now it's ready to be diced up and put in the pan. Okay, and then I dice it up. Put it in the pan. See a discolor right here, so let me cut that out. Wait 1 minute. Got a new pan, new angle. This half an onion. There we go. Second butternut squash that I got from the food bank. Okay. You go to the right around when the neck ends and you cut down in it. Just like that, and this is completely good just the way it is. And then you come in and go down the edge on each side, and there it is, opened up. Then come in with your spoon, scoop it out. Okay, this is a little spongy in here. Typically that doesn't happen, but this is kind of the that was interesting. But it's out of there. So now we move on. Okay. Not sure why this one was like that, but it's kind of the fibrous stuff that holds the seeds in is what that is. So I'm gonna get it out of there. Here we go. All right. All that's done. I will come back once I get this mess cleaned up and we'll move on to the next step. Everyone, we are back. Let me check to make sure that you can see everything. Yeah, you can see everything. And I'm gathering up the rest of the ingredients for this. I have 2 pots here and I used up the rest of the broth that I had in my house, minus the turkey broth, for this soup. And I'm gonna see if it's gonna cover everything. If not, then I'm just gonna add a little water to it. And I think I'm gonna add some water to it, okay? Because I want this a little bit more covered, the vegetables. So I'm gonna add a little water. Not that much. Okay, and that should do it. And then I'm going to get out my measuring spoons, and we're going to add the seasonings. We're going to start with half a teaspoon of sage in each pot. There we go. That's about all I want of the sage in there. Then we're gonna do, oh, let me get the celery out. Remember the celery that I diced up and put in the freezer? Well, it's gonna come in handy today. Okay, don't mind me while I break up the celery. And I want a cup of celery in each one of these. So, let's see. I'm going to use a half a cup measuring. So we're going to put 2 of these in here because it's a half a cup and I need a cup in each one. There we go. There we go. I told you the celery was going to come in handy for some soup. And I need a teaspoon of thyme in each pot. Put this back over here out of the way. And I need a teaspoon of thyme in each pot. Go. 1 teaspoon in that one, and a teaspoon in that one. Okay. So I got the sage and the thyme, and now we're going to the salt. Okay. And it says a teaspoon of salt in each pot. That's not a lot of salt. This is the last of my salt that had iron in it. And so, there we go. I'm just going to use it up. And the reason is because I'm going to be moving to a more natural type of salt. And so without the iodized, I'm going to start using non-iodized salt in my recipes from now on. Okay, so I got all the spices in there that I want. And then I'm going to bring this up to a boil. And I'm going to let this boil. Let's see. Oh, I know what I'm missing. The recipe calls for apple cider, but I don't have apple cider, so I'm gonna skip that. It also calls for 2 apples in each one. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize my applesauce. When I get ready to puree it, I'm just going to add the applesauce into it. And 5 tablespoons of butter in each pot. So I'm going to let all of this simmer for about 30 minutes. I'm going to bring it up and let it simmer for about 30 minutes and let all of the flavors melt together. And then I'm going to blend it in my blender. I don't have an immersion blender because, you know, I don't have one. So I'm going to use my regular blender to do it. And so we're going to put our lids on these. And we're going to bring them up to a boil, and then we're going to let them simmer for 30 minutes. And I'll bring you back. I have let it roll for 30 minutes, and now we're going to add in the creamy part of it. I'm going to add in 5 tablespoons of butter in each pot. That's 3 on that one. So let me get 2 more. Here we go. Okay, 5 tablespoons of butter in each one. And it calls, oh, look at that, I'm making a mess. Oh well. It calls for a cup of cream in each one, but I'm going to let this cool down a little bit. So I can put it in the blender and get it blended up nice and smooth. And I don't want the cream to clabber on me, okay? And so when you take dairy products like cream, okay, and put it into a hot soup like this, you want to be careful with it. At least in my opinion. I've seen other people do it and they don't have a problem with it, but I've had it clabber in my experience, many years of cooking, and I don't want that to happen. And so the way to prevent that from happening is to let it cool down a little bit. Okay? So this is melting up really nice, so I'm going to let the butter melt in there. And while it's cooling down, and then I'm going to add in, while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I am going to add in 2 cups of applesauce, 2 of these containers of applesauce as a replacement to apples in there. Okay? That is why I collected those applesauces, is because I use applesauce in many different things. And this happens to be one of them. I use applesauce in many different things. And this happens to be one of the things that I use applesauce in. Now let me get the applesauce in here. And this is unsweetened applesauce. It has no seasonings in it whatsoever. It is just mushed up apples. That's basically what it is. good. See, just like that. I used up 4 containers of that applesauce from the food bank. Into a beautiful soup. This is going to be so good when it's done. And it's making enough that you can't can. You shouldn't can butternut squash soup, okay? I prefer not to can it. And the reason is because it's a creamy soup. And so you're adding in butter and you're adding in cream and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze it in Ziploc bags is what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I'm backing you guys completely up so you can see what I'm doing here. Let me turn that bit off. All right, I'm going to get a ladle out. Let me see. And we're going to get busy on this now. This is a final stage to this cream soup that I make. This butternut squash soup, cream soup that I make. And actually what I'm going to do, pull this out and I'm going to bring it closer and get all of this goodness put inside the blender. There's a lot of steps to making this butternut squash soup, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it when you get it done. That's why I do it in bulk, so that I can place it in my freezer and have it whenever I want, all right? So all of this pan is going to go into this blender. I'm going to put this up here, pop that in place, and we are going to, I'll move that over there. Well, there we go. Okay. That is pretty much all of it is. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend this up. All right, I wanted to get this as creamy as possible, and so I used the pre-programmed setting for that. And now this is going to go back into this pot. just like that. And then I'm going to take this lid off, set it here, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to move this pan back. I'll pull this pot out here so I can get this last bit out and into the blender. Without making a mess. This one is going to be, this was a little bit more soup. So this is going to push the limit to my blender. It's going to push it right up there. All right. And make sure I close that. Hold it. Y'all know, I'm back in the background, cleaning as I go. There's a reason why I clean as I go. Things tend to not stick when you clean as you go. That plus, that blender has a massive dangerous blade in it, okay? And so I've got to be tremendously careful with that blade. I'm going to bring you in. And we're going to do the final stage to this, which is 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And I have used all of my cups to this point, so this is a 1/3 cup. So there's going to be 3 of them in each pot. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. This is what makes it creamy butternut squash soup. And here we go. We're going to add the creaminess into it. There are many ways that you can add creaminess into this butternut squash soup. You could use sour cream in it if you wanted to. You could use, what else could you use? You could use cream cheese if you wanted to. You could use yogurt. You could use coconut cream. If you are dairy free and still want this, use coconut cream. You can buy that in a can in a store. There are many ways that you can make this creamy. And so, here we go. Now, we have a bunch of creamy butternut squash soup. Okay. I am going to get me a little bowl. And we're going to take just a little bit because I've already had lunch. Okay. And I'm going to flip you guys around and we're going to try this together. All right, here I am with this creamy butternut squash soup. It is so smooth and creamy. This is so good. And to think that I'm going to have this in my freezer to just pop out and either microwave it or throw it into a pan on the stove and heat it up. What I'm going to do with this, see, I wanted you to see that it is good. I'll be back when I start bagging it up so you can see how I'm going to store it for later use. Good evening, everyone. I'm closing out today's video recapping what we got accomplished today. I got the cranberries used up and made into a cranberry, it's a cranberry sauce recipe, but I use it as a cranberry jelly. And so I will be adding it into things like oatmeals or putting it on my breakfast sandwiches in the morning. I think it would taste good with that. I also can, toast and jam. I can do that with it. And so I got a pint. It was 2 little jelly jars full. So half a pint, 2 half-pint jars full. So I got a pint out of it. I also made the butternut squash soup today and got the butternut squash used up. And I got 7 quarts of soup, which is 4 cups. No, 2 cups. No, 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 wait, hang on. Hang on, let me tell you what I did, okay? It is pints. It was 7 pints, okay? I got 2 cups um, in each um, bag. All right, I got 2 cups in each bag, and so that's enough for uh, two two 1 cup servings. And so you know that was 14 1 cup servings of butternut squash soup that I got in my freezer. I put those in my freezer because they had butter and cream. And the cream that I had bought at the beginning of November got almost all used up. And so it was something I needed to use up. And so I got that used up. So I've been doing good. And that's part of the reason why I didn't go to the food bank. It's because, things will add up over time, and I will keep it stored and get it into a position where it's preserved, and then I can thank myself later for having done that. And so I am so blessed, guys. So I hope you enjoy today's video on cranberry sauce and butternut squash soup. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to post up some playlists here for you. If you have not watched my other videos, I will connect you to a playlist of all the other videos, along with the subscribe button at the as well. So if you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe, please. All of it does help and it matters. And so, be I'm blessed, guys. So you guys be blessed, because I sure am. I'm blessed.